When I was young, my mom married my stepdad at a very young age, and throughout my whole childhood, they raised us to be Christ-like. When we were little, we moved to Oklahoma, and they went to a Bible college, and when we returned, they were always leaders in any church we attended, and they taught us how to live our lives for the Lord. As I got older, got into late middle school, early high school, I started to live my life for myself. We went to church, 3 times a week, which I didn't really enjoy, and it started to feel like it was almost a set of rules that I had to follow to get to heaven. It wasn't a way to live my life to be better here on earth. So I stopped trying. One thing I never did throughout high school or as a young man is stop believing. I always knew there was a God that loved me, and one day I just assumed that I'd give my life back to Him. As I become an adult, I stopped going to church altogether, met this woman who I felt that God put on this earth to be my wife. We got married at a very young age. She had a son that I loved as my own. The marriage was very short. I was certainly not ready or mature enough to be a husband, let alone a father. We ended up getting divorced, still at a very young age. That lasted for around 3 years, and God put her back in my life. And we got married again, and we've been together for 23 years. We have a daughter and several grandchildren, and our life's good, and God really put her back in my life for a reason. Halfway through that 23 years, say 13 years ago or so, she started going to church. She started going with a friend. I didn't attend with her at first, and it kind of scared me. I didn't think this was going to be something that was going to be good for my marriage. I wasn't ready to try to be that perfect person that I thought was impossible by the set of rules that I learned as a child to become a Christian. I didn't think I could live up to them standards, and I really wasn't ready. She started going to church, which I knew was the right thing to do, so I started going with her. There's times that I might have skipped. I didn't go with her every time, but I thought I needed to be a good husband and support her in what she was trying to do. One day, as I was attending church with her, I still wasn't living my life for God, and we decided, me and my friends, we were going to go golfing, and of course alcohol was part of my life. And we drank all day, which is not something abnormal, what I was doing back then. And everything was okay till we decided, let's not end this day and go back to my house and play poker. And that lasted into the night. Everything was okay until an argument broke out, and it ended up being a physical fight between me and somebody I love. At the time, at the chaos, I didn't realize, but my family had woken up, and they were all standing there watching this happen, which, as I turned around, I could see the fear, the shame, the disappointment. And I didn't think much of it at the time because of what was happening. So as everybody went to bed and everybody went home, of course the night was over, I stayed up most of that night drinking and trying to justify what had happened and make myself feel better. So that next morning, my wife woke me up and asked me if I was going to go to church that day. Well, it was Father's Day, and I could see in her eyes the sadness, the disappointment, anger. So I said, yeah, I'm going to go. So we, as a family, went to church like a normal Sunday. When I got there, things were different that day. The youth band was playing the worship service, which was more of the music that I liked at the time. And the first couple songs that were played, I really fought the feeling that God was trying to speak to me. The lump in my throat was getting heavier and heavier with every song that was played, but I fought through it, and I made it. I didn't cry, nothing happened, and we sat down for the sermon. And the youth pastor gave the sermon that day, which was special because it was about baseball, and that was right up my alley. I like baseball. He had clips of Field of Dreams on there. It just really drew me in, something that I might not pay attention to a sermon every time, but this one really got my attention. And afterwards, the youth band played songs again, and this time I opened up. For the first time in my life, I think I opened my heart, and the God that's never late, never fails, was right there. And it felt to me like somebody was pouring a warm bucket of water over my head, is the best way I can explain it, as I sat there and cried. And I prayed that day a way that I've never prayed before. I wish I could say that was the end and everything's been perfect since. Like I said earlier, I'm not a perfect person and I make mistakes. Sometimes I don't feel I'm worthy of God's love because I might fall away, but He's always there. He's really never let me go. In 2016, we had a tragedy in our lives that tested our faith, tested a lot of things in our life. It was tough. This tragedy ate away at our souls, ate away at our trust in God. We blamed God, we blamed ourselves, and we had a lot of anger. The one thing we didn't do is stop going to church. And through all the pain, through all the guilt, every time we went to church, God would meet us there. I knew that He was never too far away, no matter what I was going through. So even in time of shame, times that I might not deserve it, times I might be mad at Him, He's always right there with me. And that's the message that I didn't receive as a kid, I don't think. I felt like it was more threats to become a Christian or go to hell. And now I know that it's not about what I have to do to get to heaven. It's also about the blessings of here on earth. So one of my favorite songs says, "As you speak, 100 billion failures disappear, and I believe I have 100 billion failures, and He's always right there to wipe them away and help me through it." My name is Josh Agazino, and I'm a transformed life.